is Julie Donahue. Welcome to my Interpersonal Communication Project for HSCO 508 at Liberty University. Join me as I define my overarching goal that will enlarge my conversation. I will look at how my background in behavioral blend influences my conversation, my barriers to conversation, and noise pollution that blocks out my communication. We will finish with an action plan to make my communication goals a reality. Stewart uses inhaling and exhaling as a metaphor to explain the communication process. Inhaling represents what we take in, and exhaling represents what we give out. Our perception is shaped by our experiences, and there are three distinct things happening at the same time that shape our perceptions. We select what information is important, we organize the information we are receiving, and we make judgments about the information. Listening is essential to the inhaling and exhaling process. The Bible tells us to be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. If one gives an answer before he hears, it is his folly and shame. My overarching goal is summed up on Peterson's Talker-Listener card. I want to become a better listener by providing a safe environment where I understand and clarify what the speaker says without agreeing, disagreeing, advising, or defending, realizing that I don't own the problem. Enlarging the conversation is a process of identifying needs and intentionally finding resources to meet those needs. In this presentation, I will identify some of my communication needs and demonstrate resources that will meet those needs. According to Stewart, identity is made up of the labels and features that show the expectations we create for ourselves and others. As we communicate, we share pieces of information that the listener adds to their understanding of who we are. Our identities are complex, including personal, relational, and communal features. There are many factors that have helped to shape my identity. I'm a 45-year-old Christian American female. I'm the youngest of 7 children, and I was a latchkey kid of working professionals. I have a godly heritage of Christians going back at least 3 generations on both sides of my family. I have been married 28 years, and I'm a mom of 3. I work in early intervention, I'm training to be a life coach, and I serve on the women's ministry team. I can see how my behavioral blend has helped shape these experiences. Carbonell defines behavioral blend as a combination of personality traits that distinguish one person from another. Carbonell's profile uses the acronym DISC to represent 4 distinct personalities. These 4 examples of behavior help explain why people do what they do, and understanding them can help a person respond appropriately in any situation. On my Uniquely You report, my behavioral blend is represented by 2 somewhat distinct graphs. When considering what is expected of me, I'm a very high I or inspirational influencer, but the real me is a combination of CIS, or a competent influencing specialist. I was surprised by my second graph, but it did make sense. For example, regarding leadership style, I found the description was accurate. I like inspiring people, but I do not tend to be directing or demanding. However, I do take on a strong dominant role when there is no leader present, and it's more important for me to clarify and correct the situation than it is for me to be in charge. Some of the strengths of my behavioral blend include inspiring others, problem solving, researching and investigating, being knowledgeable, and influencing others. My behavioral blend also includes some challenges. I tend to be too cautious, not assertive, and avoid conflict. I often talk too much, I'm too blunt, and sometimes I can become critical. There are several cautionary pieces that I need to be aware of in my personality type. I need to work on sharing without boring people with too much information, and I need to learn to stay positive and avoid becoming critical. Unfortunately, I saw myself in some of the examples of an immature I, such as a tendency to wear my heart on my sleeve, to speak without thinking, and to hurt others with careless words. Burley and Allen identified potential barriers to communication, and I have noted some that I struggle with. First of all, I have a moderate bilateral hearing loss. Because I have hearing loss, I have to make certain that I'm not only hearing, but understanding the message. Hearing aids provide some amplification, but I need to make sure that I'm fully present and listening well. Because of my hearing loss, I often struggle with external distractions such as a soft-spoken speaker, or background noises. In order to listen better, I need to be aware of times when I'm distracted, be intentional about positioning myself where I can see and hear the speaker, alert the speaker to difficulties I'm having in hearing, and repeat what I think I heard in order to ensure understanding. Another barrier I face is hearing what I want to hear instead of what the speaker means. I need to be fully present and mindful of the conversation, and I need to restate my understanding of the speaker's words. A final barrier I face are red flag words. These are words that have meaning attached to them from my prior emotional experiences. I need to understand that my definition of a word is not necessarily the same as the speaker's definition. And remember that words only have the meaning that we give them. Noise pollution includes the negative self-talk that sabotages effective listening. Two of my sources of noise pollution are habits and catastrophizing. Burley Allen says habits are feelings or actions that are developed as a response to a previous stimulus, often something from childhood. In order to break these unhealthy habits, I need to focus on my own response to the stimulus. Being mindful of my reactions will help me to change them. The Smalleys describe catastrophizing. Catastrophizing is an exaggeration of the severity of damage an action can have on the relationship. Stewart also explains an all or nothing syndrome, in which a person believes they are either competent or incompetent, good or evil, worthy of love or not. This tends to leave our identity unstable and make us extremely sensitive to feedback. When I receive negative feedback, my initial reaction is to assume that if I'm not completely right, I must be completely wrong. By doing this, I act as if the other person's feedback is the only information I have about myself. Yeah, I do make mistakes, and I need to take responsibility for my choices, but I also need to remember that my mistakes do not define me. So, what next? For my action plan, first, I will extend grace when I notice that somebody is under the influence of what Peterson describes as flat brain syndrome. When I feel a thud coming at me, I will take a big gulp and do a double reverse twist. Rather than falling into the trap of defending myself, I will watch for the warning flag that people around me need to talk. Second, I'm going to leave teeth marks on my tongue. I will resist the urge to interrupt people to one-up them with my story. When appropriate, I will share my story, but only after I have allowed my talker to be understood. Then I will take my turn, without trying to take over the conversation. Third, I will be intentional about not defending myself. I realize that defending myself is accusing someone else, and I now know that defending and attacking have the same outcome. I will share my feelings and thoughts so that I can be understood, but only after I have allowed the speaker to be understood. Fourth, I will learn to use the talker-listener cards and teach my family and friends to use them as well. Fifth, I will begin to restate the talker's feelings in my own words, modeling para-feeling. I want to use my words to express speakers' ideas, facts, perceptions, and views through para-thinking. I know that many people need to talk things out in order to process them. As I learn to listen without agreeing, disagreeing, advising, or defending, I will give my family and my clients the gift of a safe environment to explore their feelings, an opportunity to be heard, and a chance to clarify their thoughts.